you're feeling uninspired or unmotivated to do the thing that you've been putting off for the past few months, if not years, then this video is for you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to be sharing with you how to actually get started, give you the exact step-by-step formula that I've taken and currently take whenever I feel like not doing the work, scrolling on my phone, binge watching YouTube, or every time I've wanted to take the easy way out, which then allowed me to finally get my life under control. And for the past 4 years, I've been able to work out consistently 5 to 6 days a week, gain 100,000 followers on social media, and build a 6-figure business as a full-time student, helping hundreds of others implement these systems. My daily strategy is to go from 0 to 1 as fast as possible. And I don't mean creating an MVP, your first video, or just going to the gym. I think a lot of people misunderstand this concept and what starting small actually means. So by the end of the video, you actually have a working system for you, so you know exactly how to start when you're unmotivated. So what does going from 0 to 1 actually even mean? Right? The way that I define it is 0 to 1 means creating an action so small that your brain can't argue with it. So 0 to 1 could be as simple as turning off your phone if you're scrolling reels, right? Turn off your phone, that is your 0 to 1, right? Let me show you a visualization here. So each day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna have a decision, right? So you are starting at 0 every single day and you have 2 choices. You know, this choice and this choice. Okay. The first choice is going to be action. Action towards living a life that you actually want, making yourself proud, and making decisions throughout the day that allow you to go to bed knowing you genuinely gave it your all. The second option that you have is inaction, right? These are things that just won't further you in any way, right? It's doom scrolling on your phone, it's playing video games 12 hours a day, it's sleeping in, and it's just not doing anything to actually further your life in a way that is benefiting for you, okay? So the mistake that you're likely making right now is thinking that, let's say content creation is one of the things that you have, is I just need to make my first video online and it'll all work out from here, right? Personal branding is becoming a huge thing, so let's say that, right? So your goal right here is post first video online, right? And even if you're a seasoned creator, this is still relevant, right? Because you're here for a reason, okay? So if you haven't posted your first video yet, or even just posted a video yet in general, that goal, and you have this hesitation, that goal is probably already too big, right? This is not 0 to 1, okay? This is what you think. You know, you're calling this 0 to 1. You're saying, I just need to create this content and everything will be better. I just need to film it and it'll all be good, right? But what your focus should actually be is you're missing all of these smaller steps that actually are required for you to film this video. And the first thing that you might think of is like, what are these smaller steps, right? Scripting your content, creating a good hook, creating a good caption. And yes, you're right about some of those, but that's only some of the picture. Your 0 to 1 is probably even smaller than that, okay? Your 0 to 1 should be creating something from nothing. So again, how did we define this? We defined going from 0 to 1 as action so small, your brain can't argue with it, right? It's so small that your brain can't argue with it. Your brain is going to argue about scripting. It's going to be nitpicking every single hook idea that you have. It's going to be talking about what your caption would be, right? And so that is not your 0 to 1. Your 0 to 1 is probably something like standing up, right? Let me give you an example with 3 different things, right? Business, content, and fitness, right? And it's more or less going to be very similar actually. So in business, let's say your goal equal to create new offer / product, right? That is your goal, okay? Step 1, going from 0 to 1, what that's gonna be, maybe, depends on each person, is stand up, right? Let's just say stand up. That is your 0 to 1. It sounds so ridiculously simple, but you need to create this momentum. Because once you create this momentum, creates more momentum, and more and more and more, and you eventually start to script your content, script a hook, a good caption, and etc. In fact, it's actually the exact strategy that I used for making this video, because I had a lot of resistance to making a longer form video. So the first thing is stand up. Okay. Second thing, going from 1 to 2 is still very hard, but it's not as hard as going from 0 to 1, is head over to your laptop, right? Move to laptop. That is step number 2. Okay. Step number 3 is going to be open Google Docs. Right? And in fact, it doesn't even have to be Google Docs. If you're feeling overwhelmed here, don't even do that. It just adds complicated steps. You know, you got to open Google Chrome, you got to go to Google Docs, you got to create a new doc, and then you're going to start thinking about organizing. Don't do that. You know what you should do? Just create Notes app, right? Make it as simple as possible for you to just move in the next direction. Okay, Notes app. Go to your Notes app, and you know what you should start doing? Typing random letters. And then at this point, your brain is going to be asking, what am I actually doing, right? Why am I typing these random letters and not really doing anything? And what you're starting to realize, what your brain is starting to realize, whether it's unconscious or conscious, is, wait, this wasn't that hard, right? I've actually created some sort of momentum and I could just continue this direction. The reason this is good is because in this moment right here, when you're starting to get aware of like what you're actually starting to do, by now, you've just created a little gap, right? You've created a gap between inaction, scrolling on your phone, doom scrolling, watching YouTube, whatever that is, and taking action. So as this gap grows bigger, as you continue momentum, this gap will get wider and wider and wider, right? As it goes on. So step 5 is going to be typing maybe synonyms, right? Synonyms or related words to the thing that you're trying to solve, right? The problem. You're going to think of like words like problem, like entrepreneur is struggling to execute, right? Something that I thought about was like they've never been consistent. They've struggled their entire lives. They think it's so easy. And your brain, again, will start to recognize that it's not as big of a problem that you thought. And just like Newton's law of inertia, his first law, when an object is in motion, it'll stay in motion until an external source interrupts it, right? This could be your partner coming in. This could be a phone call. This could be something else that just throws you off and, again, forces you to make a decision. Do I keep going? Or do I then get distracted and scroll on my phone, which they made it really easy to do, and go to a path of inaction? Okay? So at this point, you want to continue this momentum and reduce all your distractions, right? I'll give you another example with, let's say, content. So let's say your goal is, whether you're a seasoned creator or you're wanting to post your very first video online, this is going to apply to you, right? Because there's a clear resistance toward posting, right? Whether you call it creative block or mental block or whatever it is, there's a resistance, okay? And the beauty of this strategy of 0 to 1 is that it works for anyone. And if step 1 of standing up, if step 1 is too overwhelming, your 0 can be even smaller than that. If step 1 is too easy and you can actually do that, then you can increase the difficulty, right? Then your step 1 could be to just sit down, hop on your content operating system and create an idea. That could be your step 1, okay? But step 1, if it is tougher, right, could be, instead of standing up, right, break it down even more, right? Decide to move your right arm, right? When you're in bed, move right arm to like your left shoulder, right? And if even that, you can break it down even more granularly. That's the beauty of this, right? Move your elbow joint, move your fingers, right? Step 2 is going to be pull off the covers, or like clench your fist, right? That could be step 2, pull off covers. Step 3 is move right leg off the bed, right? And step 4, etc. You see what I mean? You get off the bed, you start walking to your laptop, you start typing random words, you start typing ideas of, you know, productivity, self-help, whatever it is, whatever your content niche is, and you just write all these random words that are related to it, and you start to realize, oh shoot, like, you know, you might as well make it even better. You might as well create a good hook. You might as well, you know, start scripting this out better. You might as well, you know, you have this idea. It's so much easier for you to create a content reel. And you just, what happens is you might as well. And by the end of the day, you realize you just hit all of your goals, right? You've created your first video online. You've actually did the thing that you said you were going to do, and you've been pushing off for months and years. Okay, the same is the opposite for inaction. One more reel because you might as well. You might as well scroll. You might as well keep going. You might as well just 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, and it just keeps going and going and going. That's the danger. That's why your number one focus is going to 0 to 1. It's not about creating your first video online. It's not about getting your first pull-up. It's not even going to the gym. It's not starting creating an offer, whatever that is. Every single day, your number one focus is right here. That is where the battle is won, right? Can you go from 0 to 1, which is infinitely more impossible than 1 to a million? Okay, you're creating something from nothing at all. All right. So some of you hearing this right now, this kind of mindset might be going through your head is, like, this sounds so obvious, right? This sounds so obvious, sounds so easy. I've heard this before, right? Like, you've heard this stuff before, and that is the exact mistake that I made and exactly why I stayed in the same place. In fact, I didn't even just stay in the same place. My life was actively getting worse because I couldn't get over my own ego, okay? Thinking that this is so small, it's not worth it, or I did this in the past and I was able to do this, it doesn't help you, okay? I just couldn't accept the fact that I needed to start small, and it felt ridiculous to me. So for years, I would tell myself that I just needed to start. I just needed to create content. What's so hard about that? What's so hard about talking on the camera? I just have to get over this hard thing and swallow my frog. That's what everyone says on social media, right? Swallow your frog, do the hard thing first. And the thing is, sometimes it's just so hard that that frog looks just way too nasty. It's slimy, it's disgusting, it stinks, it reeks, you just can't swallow that frog. And when that happens, you need to use this concept of 0 to 1. Okay, so for years, again, I was telling myself that I just needed to do this, and my ego was the biggest reason that I was stuck. Okay, I can't tell you how many times that I thought, oh, I have this, all figured out now. It's so easy, I've been going to the gym for like a week. I deserve to let it rest, and I would just procrastinate. I would push things off, and I thought that I was just too good for this, right? It's just so easy, right? And the thing about this is that what surprised me is the clients that I'm working with now, these 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs, these creators with millions of followers, these incredibly jacked, talented athletes that I'm working with who are doing Ironmans multiple times a year, or training for triathlons, etc. They are still using these same systems. Okay, simplicity scales, complexity fails. It doesn't matter how hard you work today. It doesn't matter how useless you were today, how unproductive you were today. Tomorrow is a new day, and the count is at 0. Your decision every single day is going to be, can you go from 0 to 1? Okay, so don't let your ego get to your head. Use this framework, break it down into unreasonably easy steps. Going from 0 to 1 means creating an action so small that your brain cannot argue with it. If you're still arguing with yourself, if you're still procrastinating and overthinking and getting distracted, you need to make it smaller, and you need to break this down. What is your 0 to 1? That is your number one focus. Okay, so that is what I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed. It's one of my first videos of this style. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know any questions that you have, and I'll be happy to answer them in the comments down below. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you continue to live on purpose.